With the final coming up tonight, I'd like to talk about a possible fatal flaw I've seen with the Traitors game show. I mean, overall, it's a great piece of reality TV and a game show overall. There's 3 seasons. This is the 3rd season of the UK version. And tonight is the final, this Friday. But the last few nights have been a bit odd. Obviously, they've caught 2 traitors in a row. I mean, spoiler alert, if you're not caught up, then you probably shouldn't be watching this. And it did make me think last night, are they going to do the same thing again? Are they going to ask Charlotte to recruit or take out somebody? I don't know if I can say the other word given YouTube's guidelines. And it made me think about the possible fatal flaw they have, is that it's so geared towards the traitors because do you know what they need? They need as much runtime as possible. They need as many episodes or not as many episodes as they need, but they need that amount of episodes filmed and done. I mean, if they got the traitors out, say with Mina when she was left alone, if there wasn't such a big ultimatum given to Charlotte, she might not have joined the traitors. Mina was suspected and then ended up getting out very soon after that. If Mina had got out, there'd be no traitors left and the show might just end prematurely 3 episodes early. And that obviously means less watchers and less, views on the BBC, less people paying for their license fee, let's say. But that's the flaw they have. So they have to give this ultimatum. We saw earlier in the season, I think it was Mina and what's the other person's? I can't remember the other person's name, but it was Mina and someone tried to recruit Anna, but there was no massive ultimatum given. It was like, you can join the traitors, but you're not going to be removed from the game show, for lack of a better term. But now, obviously, when they get near the end, it's like, oh my word, what happens if they say no? People are kind of likely to say no. They've been faithful the whole game. They don't want to suddenly change their mind and be a traitor. So you need to put some jeopardy in it. How do we do that? Because we definitely need more people to be traitors. If it's only Mina left and there's a bit of heat on her already, she might get caught. And so she did. So what do? It's like, oh, you've got a chance to recruit. But the person that's being recruited either leaves the game show with absolutely nothing, or can be a traitor and basically you might not want to do it, but you're still going to be in the game show. So it's pretty obvious what people pick. They're going to stay in the game show and become a traitor. And that basically undoes all the work the faithful have been doing to get rid of the traitors, because it's like, we got a traitor, woo, great. Now let's just have another person, a faithful, be basically almost not blackmailed, but heavily guided towards being a traitor. And then we've got to catch them, until it's the last 5. And it pretty much becomes a game of stay low and then don't get caught and just hope you can make it to the final. Because if you don't make it to the final, there's no real difference between getting out a traitor and not. I mean, we see now, obviously Charlotte's left, she was recruited. But say, and this wouldn't have happened because obviously Charlotte had basically no heat on her until Freddie petulantly voted for Charlotte. Say Charlotte got out last night, it'd then be Freddie going into the final after only being a traitor for 1 day, or however, I don't know days in terms of the traitor castle, but as in 1 episode, if you get what I mean. Sort of like how Charlotte's going into the final now, having been recruited and only been traitor for 3 or 4 days. And I suppose people might say, but she's played a really good game as a faithful and then played a really good game as a traitor, so maybe she deserves it. Or say if it was Freddie, he was really good as a faithful and then became a traitor and won. And people might be like, fair enough, he's basically won being a traitor by being so faithful and then just getting sort of guided or forced into it. And I think that's one major flaw, is the fact that they need the TV show to keep going and to keep filming all the episodes and stuff like that. At the same time, they can't let the faithful win too early. So it almost becomes a game of, you're going to get everyone out around the round table eventually, whether they be faithful or traitor, it doesn't really matter to start with. As long, the only people it benefits is obviously the traitors, because if you get a faithful out, well, that's not a traitor out. But yeah, the finals tonight. Sorry, my predictions. I think Charlotte is going to get caught just because of the cliffhanger they left last night's episode on. I can't believe she picked Charlotte for the sheer power to be able to see what Charlotte does. I mean, it's crazy. Especially when you're thinking Alexander. Alexander did that whole thing at the round table saying, pick me, choose me. No, but not in that sense. But pick me, you will know I'm faithful, and at least we can get that over and done with. But she didn't. She picked Charlotte instead. Did the producers push her to do that? Maybe it was a bit of a weird worded question. Maybe there's a worded statement that sort of guided her a little bit towards. Maybe they wouldn't say Charlotte explicitly because that's obviously too obvious. Maybe they said something like, maybe pick people who are close to you. You were very certain that Alexander was a faithful after he had a one-on-one conversation with you. Maybe pick someone that's close to you that you've been with since the start or whatever. But yeah, be interesting to see what happens either way. I mean, the online reaction to Charlotte's not good. People absolutely despise her. And she did play the game very well. I mean, apart from when it all fall apart. Because I genuinely didn't think Leanne would actually start saying names. I didn't think Leanne would name drop. But as soon as Leanne name drops at breakfast, you're like, oh no. Now it's going to get a bit spicy between Freddie and Charlotte. Because obviously Charlotte tried to throw Freddie immediately under the bus. After then throwing Mina under the bus. I mean, people are defending Mina after Charlotte threw her under the bus. But at the same time, Mina also threw a couple of her own traitors under the bus because that's how public opinion was going. And I suppose it comes down to the whole fact of sort of like Mr. Beast Games, if you're watching that as well, I'll mention that as well, is people will judge you for what you do, especially in the last episode of Mr. Beast Games. But if you're in that situation, you'd probably do the same thing. But thankfully you're not, so you're allowed to judge them quite easily for what they did. And yeah, Mina's thrown... She voted for Linda when Linda went. She voted for... it was said last night's episode, someone said it, Mina had voted for every traitor that had sort of gone out. And that's just how the game goes, and that is fair play. That's how it should be played, but now people are not very happy with Charlotte. I mean, it was a bit nasty to recruit Freddie and immediately throw him under the bus. That was crazy work. And it worked. It worked because Freddie lied. Completely messed up his own lie, which was absolutely shocking. But I suppose, what else could he do? There's literally nothing else Freddie could do in that situation because people were already suspicious of him. It was almost the perfect plan by Leanne. Basically, not Leanne, Charlotte. Basically, try and get Leanne out. Charlotte knew she had a shield. Leanne would stay in the game. Leanne would be like, someone tried to get rid of me. And then everyone would be like, the only two people they didn't know were Freddie and whatever. I didn't think she would then name drop Freddie and Alexander at the breakfast. And Alexander kind of got lucky that Freddie completely botched his own defence up because I thought halfway through the episode it's going to be, you know, when Claudia does vote count, it's 2 for Alexander, vote for 2 for Freddie. But after that Freddie lie at the end, no need for a vote count, clean sweep on Freddie. Freddie being a bit petulant and putting Charlotte, I don't blame him. Who wouldn't do the same thing? That's the thing. But yeah, hope you enjoy the final. I completely failed the first part of that because I completely botched talking.